It's always been a goal of mine to do this, definitely not for the faint-hearted, and you have to be dedicated. But I get great satisfaction with the thought that one day it won't just be me and my colleagues who see them. I want everyone to experience just how wonderful they were.
In 1970, trolleybuses made their final journey through the streets of Cardiff.
It was just a roller coaster. It was better than going to Barry Island on a show. I just loved driving them. I have dreams about them now. I still have dreams.
Here we are, 40 years on, now wondering whether the right decision was made.
For 68 years, electric transport had conveyed the citizens of Cardiff around the city. Trolleybus number 262 was the last to run.
11:15 and we're just away. I've just forked out my 3 bob for the journey. The acceleration of this bus is pretty good, both negative and positive.
We're just coming up to a section insulator here now. At this point we just lift the power pedal up until we've coasted over.
262, near the end of its life with Cardiff Corporation, was purchased by a local group of enthusiasts, our predecessors, the Cardiff Trolleybus Society. And they actually ran the vehicle on services for about 18 months prior to the end of the system. And then what happened was that Cardiff Corporation took down all the wires, and at that time there were no real preservation societies with a circuit where the vehicle could be based.
The decision to phase out the trolleybuses in Cardiff was taken by the City Council in 1961, when I wasn't actually a member. And it was prompted by the fact that many other cities and towns throughout Britain were making a similar decision, in that it was felt that it was no longer viable, being very restrictive as to the places it could run, and of course diesel at that time was much cheaper than electricity.
Since its withdrawal from service, 262 has had a nomadic existence, initially moving around the United Kingdom, but eventually purchased for £1 by the Cardiff Trolleybus Project.
It's the only locally built trolleybus surviving in the world today. It was built by Bruce Coachworks in 1949. And as that company only built 25 trolleybuses for Cardiff, it's the only one that's left. The problem with the Cardiff area was there was an abundance of low railway bridges, and in fact the double-decker was actually a special design for low bodywork construction to negotiate the bridges. But the one bridge that baffled everyone at that time is the one at the top of Bute Street, hence the need for single-decker trolleybuses. This vehicle we're on is a single-decker, fleet number 243, and was a special one-off vehicle built for Cardiff because they had a spare chassis. It started its running life with Cardiff in 1955 and lasted just 9 years until that particular route, which it was specially used on, was abandoned in 1964. When panels are removed, that's when you realise the complexities or the depth of restoration work you have to go into. And the whole rear end of this single-decker has been reconstructed, reframed and repanelled. The light fittings, were very surprised that when the vehicles came down to Cardiff, that the various boxes of items that came with them, we found the complete sets of the frames and actually the jelly moulds, as they call them, and I think they look very effective.
I just love driving them. I have dreams about them now. I still have dreams. 262 was one of my favourites. A very nice bus to drive, faster than the other trolley buses. I don't know why. I wouldn't say they were easy whatsoever, unless you're experienced, because I've seen a lot of drivers pack up the job because it was too complicated with the overheads.
Often the poles that were taking electricity from the overhead wiring would come off, and the poor old driver had to get out and get a long rod which was kept underneath the trolley bus, but unfortunately cars and other vehicles, of course, had stopped right behind him and he had a job to get it out.
Somehow latch onto these things, and he'd be like a fishing rod, sometimes in a pouring rain, trying to put these things back on, and everybody watching on the bus. Trolley buses were very fast. You just put your foot down on the accelerator and off you go. If you put it down too far, you'd knock out the switch. Just above you, give it another flick, it'd make a big bang. Some people, if they were close to the driving seat, they'd jump up a bit. The point was, they took off at such a rate and without any warning whatsoever, but they hadn't perfected the braking. They had no idea how to stop, except a dead stop. There was no half measures.
The acceleration was amazing. They were very quiet, of course. In fact, people had to be careful when they were crossing the road because you quite often couldn't hear them coming.
There were two long benches, mock leather, I suppose, or maybe they were real leather. They were pretty shiny anyway. And as the trolley bus went off, like 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, everyone was at the back of the bus. Whoever was at the back end got squeezed.
I first remember the trolley buses about 1946. You put a coin into a slot to pay your fare, and after a while they had to come up with another idea, which was a glass box, so the people could see what money was being put in, other passengers. This is because the workers in the factories were putting washers in. Eventually, they had to have a conductor.
There was no heating whatsoever. So poor old driver and conductor, they used to wear gloves, you know, with holes in them to put their fingers through, but very hard in the winter.
40 years on from 262's last trip, can trolley buses stage a comeback?
I believe there is a future, very much so, for trolley buses, especially now with the emphasis on the environment, the quietness of the vehicles, the speed of the vehicles may turn people's thinking that there is an alternative to the motorbus.
I only hope they've worked out the braking system.